We're going to start out with a feel-good story. This is really like, you know, when you're walking down the street and you see a cute little puppy, it just kind of brightens your day. This is that kind of story here. Mexico freezes relationships with U.S. Canadian embassies, which criticized judicial reform. That's right. You know, it just warms the heart to see the United States humiliated like this. You know, it's a wonderful thing to witness. It just puts a smile on my face. I'm already in a good mood today, and so I wanted to start out with this before the mood sours, because we do have some heavier topics later, but let's savor this moment while we can. The Mexican government has paused its relationship with the U.S. and Canadian embassies in the country, President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador said on Tuesday, after their ambassadors criticized a proposed judicial reform that he backs. There is a pause, Lopez Obrador said in a press conference, clarifying that the freeze was with the embassies and not with the countries. So it's not a total embargo, but they are freezing relations with the embassies. The president is pushing a reform to elect judges, including Supreme Court justices, by popular vote. A committee in the lower house of Mexico's Congress passed the proposal late on Monday, paving the way for it to be approved when the newly elected Congress takes office in September. Proponents say the reform will boost democracy and help fix a system that they argue does not serve the public, while critics say it will skew power in favor of the executive, cut off judges' careers, and make the courts more susceptible to criminal influence. U.S. Ambassador Ken Salazar last week labeled the reform a, quote, major risk to the functioning of Mexico's democracy and cautioned of a potential risk to the U.S.-Mexico trade relationship. See, there it is in the same sentence. Democracy is usually code for trade relationship when it comes to other countries. Yeah. Democracy is code for business interests. The U.S. and Mexico are each other's largest trade partners. Canada's ambassador to Mexico, Graham Clark, also warned of investment concerns. Later on Tuesday, after Lopez Obrador's comments, Salazar posted a diplomatic note from the embassy dated August 23rd. Quote, the United States supports the concept of judicial reform in Mexico, but we have significant concerns that the popular election of judges would neither address judicial corruption nor strengthen the judicial branch of the government of Mexico, the note read. The Canadian embassy did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Lopez Obrador has criticized what he called Salazar's interference in internal politics. How are we going to allow the ambassador to give his opinion, to say what we're doing is wrong, Lopez Obrador added. We aren't going to tell him to get out of the country, but for him to read our Constitution, yes, we will say that. Salazar had previously said he was open to speaking with Mexican government leaders to discuss different judicial models. Lopez Obrador said the pause would continue until there was confirmation that the embassies would respect Mexico's independence. Later on Tuesday, Mexican Foreign Minister Alicia Bárcena backed Lopez Obrador in a message posted on X, saying decisions about Mexico are made by Mexicans. She reiterated, however, that the relationship with friends and neighbors in North America was a priority and remained fluid and normal on a daily basis. The diplomatic note from the U.S. said the country had the utmost respect for Mexico's sovereignty. Mexico's peso was down 1.65% in the early afternoon trading. It has dropped sharply since the June elections, in which Lopez Obrador's favorite successor, Claudia Sheinbaum, won the presidency, and their Morena party and allies nabbed a supermajority in the lower house and nearly a supermajority in the Senate. A two-thirds vote is necessary to amend the Constitution, which the judicial reform would need to do. So let's take a look at what the Wilson Center, nonpartisan American think tank, has to say about this turning point, the impact of AMLO's reforms on the USMCA, which is the 21st century, NAFTA, and nearshoring. Nearshoring means not offshoring. Offshoring is the ugly word where you ship jobs overseas. Nearshoring is, hey, you give the job to a neighbor, right? Little south of the border, little north of the border. That's nearshoring. That's their term.
That's like when you need ice.
Yeah, it's like when you need ice. Right, you go to Canada. We nearshored the ice in. Right, they get to nearshore the ice. Yeah, exactly. Following the decisive electoral victory, the Wilson Center writes, by Claudia Sheinbaum and the Morena Party in June, her mentor, President AMLO, and allies are likely to secure a two-thirds majority in Congress, providing him the power to unilaterally amend Mexico's constitution. Before leaving office on October 1st, AMLO's supermajority is planning to implement 18 constitutional reforms that would weaken Mexico's economic regulatory landscape, degrade its investment climates, that's what we care about, dissolve checks and balances, and undermine the country's ability to fulfill international commitments, including the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. If approved, these legal shifts could seriously challenge North America's long-term competitiveness and nearshoring potential, jeopardize billions in U.S. and Canadian investments in Mexico, and complicate the 2026 review of the USMCA. Now, we're not going to get super wonky and read all of these, but they do outline, obviously, the aforementioned judicial reform amendment. Then there is the elimination of oversight and regulatory agencies. But then here's the big one, folks. This is the one that you really need to know. State energy industries, big bold letters toward the bottom of that paragraph. This policy would undermine U.S. and Canadian economic interests and any energy they produce in favor of Mexico's CFE and its state-owned oil and gas company, Pemex. Well, there you have it. Talk about burying the lead.
Yes.
There it is. There it is. Same old story. They want to control their resources and have that money go to enrich their people because it's publicly owned. And we're like, but wait a minute. As they write, Canadian and U.S. firms have invested a combined $34 billion in Mexico's energy sector, including significant investments in renewable energy projects. How woke. How woke.
Yes.
So
yeah, notice how they put that in at the end.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. Of course.
They want you to know it's not all about ripping that bad oil out of the ground.
It's not about the $34 billion. It's about the environment. It's about the environment. We're trying to save the environment here. What are you doing? So, yeah, before we went on air, Russell said, this is like when John Gotti got beat up in jail. Everybody knew the golden age of the mafia was over. Well, when they tell the ambassador here, just go get your fucking shine box, keep your mouth shut. Oh, you don't like what we're doing? That's nice. Shut the fuck up. That's a great flex. Good for them.
Yeah, this would never have happened 20 years ago. It probably would not have happened 10 years ago. It is John Gotti getting a beating in prison. Right. This is the entire world saying, to stay with the mafia parallel, as Frankie Five Angel says, you don't even have that kind of muscle anymore.
Yeah, or to put it very literally,
get your fucking shine box.
Yeah.
Yes, the U.S. does not have that kind of muscle to impose its will in that way. And hey, increasingly, there is a counterweight to U.S. influence called BRICS.
Yep.
That I think you're going to see more and more of our neighbors to the south starting to join. This is, come on, man. I mean, we stole half of Mexico from Mexico. They never forgot that.
They'll join BRICS, and then we'll give them the Ukraine treatment. We'll do what Putin did to Ukraine, proving our point all along.
Right. Exactly. Which, I mean, we already did in the Mexican-American War. We took the entire Southwest from Mexico. And while up here, we say, they must have forgotten about that. No, they did not. They did not. That was their introduction to the new Republic of the United States and how it deals with its neighbors. This is literally over a century of resentments boiling over. And finally, this is the thing when you're the neighborhood bully. What happens when the bully stumbles? Oh, all the people have been waiting for that, right? All the people you bullied, all the people you forced off their land, all the people you genocided, all the leaders you assassinated. Those people didn't forget that. We might have. Most Americans never learned it. Forget about it. But they remember. They've been waiting. And hey, our neocons, they know that. That's why they're trying to gin up World War III. They're trying to bring this all to a head because they believe that with the advantage in arms that we have, we can win that fight. And they're willing to risk World War III to maintain that hegemony into the indefinite future.
Please clap.